So another skill that I would like my students to have is how to get started sort of just generically. You'd almost argue that all web pages look the same in the first 10 minutes. And so just to show you what I mean, and this is a message from all of my students, I want them to master this. You know, you're going to give it a title. So whatever that happens to be, generic page. Oops. And then in the body, you're basically going to need a div. Might as well make it an ID container. And then inside the container, you're going to need a div ID header. And then below that, you'll need a div ID main. And below that, we'll also have a div ID footer. And from here you can start to specialize. Like in the header you can probably put a navigation. Let's see, div ID nav. And in the main then you start to actually get somewhere. But the next thing you'd want to do is have a link relation start style sheet, and then type text CSS, href, style sheets theme.css. Close that off, and that's assuming that there's a style sheets folder. So that's another generic start. You'd want to create an images folder. You want to create a style sheets folder. And in the style sheets folder, we would want a file, theme.css. Get rid of the HTML. And now let's do some basic style sheet stuff, like the container. So now we're moving into kind of learning about styles. And so you could do, let's see, body, background color, make it light gray, and then we could get to the hashtag container and make the background color tan, let's say. And from there, you should be able to start to see the regions that you're dealing with. So it looks like we've got a light gray, but I guess without at least something in the header. It's not going to show anything. At least that's what I'm guessing the problem is. There we go. So we actually have something in there. So let's write some stuff in here just so we can identify the areas. Okay. And then from there we can make the, let's just copy this, and this would be what we got: container, main, and footer. Let's make the main white, the footer, I don't know, light coral. How about that? Just because that popped up. Okay, so now we can at least see what we've got, and then from there we can say for the container width 960 pixels, and let's see what that does. So it's shortened, so it's not going all the way across the page. And then, most important, margin auto, which will center it. And then we can also, let's put underneath the width, the height would be 800 pixels. And let's do the same for the main height. Actually, yeah, the container is 800. Or maybe we shouldn't define the height by the container, but we can define the height of the main. We also need a header. Overlook that. Let me copy this. And so do the height of the header is maybe 50. And maybe that should be about the same for the footer. Oops, extra curly brace. And what do we got here? Oh yeah, height I didn't define. Height can be like 500 pixels. Alright, so basically what I'm trying to get you to see is that pretty much all your web pages you're going to want to have a container that has everything in it, and inside the container you've got a header, a main, and a footer. And then because of that, it's kind of a no-brainer. You want to define the color, not necessarily, but definitely width and margin auto. These are two really important ones, so you can get the page centered. And that's not always the case. Some sites you want it to be the full width of the page, but I like to restrict it to a certain maximum width. Then we've got to define some height for the header, and by doing all that, you can see now you've got basic structure for a page. You might not like the colors, no big deal, you can change that. And then you can just probably apply some padding. Let's see, padding. But from this point on, it starts to get a little less, it starts to become more specialized. Oh, that's actually not what I want. You can see that gray background. So I'll cut that. And put it, I guess I'll put it individually inside each of these. Yeah, that's better. And so I would call that a generic start. And then from there you can start specializing, making the page look more unique than just this.